I got the unpopular opinion. I guess I've been around you too long. Because I agree with you, man. It's crazy. I used to have these contentious arguments in the locker room with all the players who, at the moment of signing a contract like Earl Thomas did, 4 years, $40 million, you're the highest paid safety in the world. And I'm like, don't forget that moment when you're not the highest paid safety in the world, but you're still playing like one. Because there is an honor system that the players want the owners to play by, but they don't even want to participate in. 4 years, $40 million means I'm going to give you $40 million if you play for 4 years under these terms. So let me give you a rap reference. Let's go to Tupac, you know, one of the greatest of all time, and Earl Thomas, I'm sure, is a fan of. Tupac once said, you might be deep in this game, but you got the rules missing. And that's the thing about Earl Thomas right now. He's deep in the game, one of the best safeties we've seen ever at that position. But you got the rules missing. When you're talking to these owners, the other side of a negotiation table and dictating terms, not acting like a franchise player, threatening to retire before, and in a situation like this, it seems like you want them to say, if I overachieve, pay me more. If I'm getting old or I get injured, like I did yesterday, still take care of me. What person on the other side of the table is going to sign off on those terms?
No one is going to sign off on those terms. And what I think Earl Thomas is caught up in, he does the long game in terms of he has established himself as a Hall of Fame level player.
Big time.
Won a Super Bowl, participated in a second. The NFL, as much as people want to beat it up, they take care of their best and brightest. If you contributed to Super Bowls, again, it's like Eric Dickerson came on and came out and said, hey, Hall of Famers need to be paid X, Y, and Z. The Los Angeles Rams take really good care of Eric Dickerson. He's an advisor, gets cut a check monthly. Blah. Earl Thomas has all that sitting in front of him as a former Seattle Seahawk. I don't understand why there has to be this hostility because the Seattle Seahawks don't want to give him financially moving forward what he wants when he turns 30 years old. It's just a business decision. There's no reason for this level of animosity other than the fact, I'm telling you, the media has convinced everybody hate the NFL and they're just exploiting you and taking advantage of you. And it's just not true, Marcellus.
No, it's not true. And I hate to sound like company man because that was what my teammates used to call me when I said this. But I played under the same rules and never had this issue and played with some guys who were greater than me who didn't even have this same issue. I'll give you a case in point. Two things happened to me when I was at the peak of my powers. And there was a day when I was at the peak of my powers. And it's crazy. I didn't deserve what I was getting, but you know what? That's what the market dictated. That's what I was worth. So this is what happened. In the same year, I became the highest paid franchise player in Chargers history. Except there's a Junior Seau on that same team. And Junior, I'm thinking, may have a problem with this. Junior had no problem with that at all. He said, buddy, you're balling, and look at your birth certificate. You're younger than me, so you're going to get yours. And at the same time, Bruce Smith, the greatest of all time at my same position, had no problem with it. He's like, hey, man, I know I'm better than you, and I'm a walking Hall of Famer. You're not, but I still have no issues with it. Frustration is just the anger that's displaced. And what you're seeing from Earl Thomas and others is because they're not getting what they want. What they're wanting, that anger is going to show, that frustration is going to show, because they know they can't stand solid ground and talk to our owner in a way that's going to make the owner cave. So they act it out in the ways we're seeing.
The other issue I have with Earl Thomas is he came into this season and last season he went over and told the Cowboys, hey, trade for me. I want to get here. And I'm from Texas, and I want to get back to Texas. I want to play for the Cowboys. Hey, It's just a bad negotiating strategy, Marcellus. If you tell everybody here at Fox, I'd rather be at ESPN, they're going to be less likely to pay you.
Exactly.
They want, when they start handing out, and again, this is like the responsibility that you accept. When they start handing you 7-figure contracts, man, they want to feel the love.
Yeah.
They want to feel like you appreciate that because the people in power actually know, like, hey, man, everybody doesn't get to live this life, and we're granting you this privilege. You've earned it, but we're the ones cutting the check. And if we feel no appreciation from you, if you're not loyal to us in any way, and again, Earl Thomas is not he's not a special teams player. He's not a marginal starter. He's a guy Seattle actually is committed to, and that's why they've given him $50 million over the first 8-9 years of his career. So, again, he can claim the NFL has no love for the players and they're careless. That may be the guys that are special teams and marginal starters, but they actually do care about guys like Earl Thomas and reward them generally.
Yeah, Zeke, absolutely. What you learned is that the Cowboys' offensive meeting room went like this. You know what? There's only one way you're going to win. There's only one way we could put up points, is to feed Zeke. And think about it. The games before what we saw yesterday, Zeke didn't get 20-plus carries. Yesterday, 25 carries. Zeke had the most scrimmage yards and the most touches he had this season. That was being force-fed. That wasn't by coincidence. So what it did was now allow Dak Prescott to go out there and have a great game. Remember last week when Zeke had 100-plus rushing yards and Dak still struggled? This time, they give you even more of Zeke, and finally Dak has a good game. Some are saying great game. But that's by, like, 1992 measurements and standards. If Dak Prescott is going out there throwing 2 touchdowns and 250 yards, and we're like, oh, my God, amazing, that's Eric Kramer. That's some old way before the new rules and new changes has occurred. To me, it's still about Zeke. If Zeke goes off and has an amazing game, Dak can be okay.
Disagree.
Let me hear it.
The Lions have the worst rush defense in football.
All right.
They had the second best passing defense in football. Did a nice job of slowing Tom Brady down. Zeke was Zeke. But Zeke was Zeke was Zeke.
Okay.
Dak is the guy that actually elevated, made the game-winning throw, that long pass to Zeke. I'll give it to him. But that was a dime that won and decided the game. And so Dak is the guy that elevated and gave the rest of the team confidence. This game was far more about Dak Prescott, who just last week there were people like, hey, man, is Zeke jumping off the Dak bandwagon? Are there questions in that locker room and in that organization about, is Dak really our long-term quarterback? And again, did he answer that question definitively?
No.
Yesterday? No.
Oh, thank you.
But did he give people confidence like, oh, okay, if we do the right thing.
Why you sound like Snoop? Oh, okay. What you mean? What confidence? What?
If we do the right thing.
What?
Dak Prescott is – I thought – I watched this game start to finish. I thought Dak was near perfection. He
near perfection, 255 yards, 17 to 27. Will you stop? That was an all-time game by Ezekiel Elliott. That was the best game we've seen from any running back from scrimmage this year. It took all of that. Like, historic implications for Dak to go, meh, good, all right, great. Like, use Dak. Look at the total sample size, the 3 years, 2016 until now. Dak Prescott, this is crazy. This is alarming. In today's NFL, has only thrown for 3 games over 300 yards in 3 years. Patrick Mahomes already done that twice and is going to do it again probably tonight to make it 3 in 4 games. I'm not even going to go there. Dak has never thrown for 4 touchdowns or more in any game ever. And Mr. Trubisky and others, I'm just saying, like, when we give Dak the pass, it's not fair to Ezekiel or to this franchise. And I think the offense finally figured that out, and they fed Zeke.
Patrick Mahomes is a rare talent. Working with one of the great offensive coaches of all time.
Okay.
Working with Tyreek Hill, one of the fastest receivers. Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends.
What about Mr. Trubisky? What about Ryan Fitzpatrick a couple times? Like, give me one of those games where I'm just like, yeah, new NFL standards. Not Eric Kramer. Like, give me something. He's giving you nothing that shows you.
You know Cole Beasley's his top receiver, right?
That's not right. That shouldn't happen.
That's his top receiver. That's not right. His third down possession guy. Let me get a first down.
Dez was there, though, a couple of those years. And Cole Beasley played better than Dez.
Dez Bryant, the ghost of Dez Bryant was there for a couple years.
True.
Early on that first year, Dez was there. And Dak hasn't had the pieces. I don't think he has the right head coach in terms of offensive guru. That performance yesterday provided hope and confidence in Dallas. That, to me, Ezekiel Elliott, we know he's one of the best backs in the league.
Preach.
The headline in the story is like, Dak restores some confidence, gives us hope in Dallas. If he can continue to play like that, look, they're not out of the division.
No, they're not.
Philadelphia's 2-2.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas has hope.